A Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure deck is usually a product of its time, not typically meant to be played 16 years after its initial release. But it does beg the question, how would older decks do against today's more consistent, powerful and faster decks? I want to take a look at the older pre-built structure decks and see what they had to offer, as well as to find out how they would actually fare up in today's meta game. So I'd like to invite you to a structure deck showcase of Structure Deck Yugi. The Structure Deck Yugi is the first pre-constructed deck to be released in the OCG Structure Deck series, all the way back June 28th, 2001. Now, don't get the deck confused with the TCG starter deck Yugi, as they may sound similar and the decks are in fact pretty similar actually, but I assure you they are two different decks. As well, there was another pre-made OCG deck before this one, known as the XR Starter Box, but that's for another video. This deck mainly features cards used by Yugimoto throughout the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. It contains two new cards of the time, Swift Gaia the Fierce Knight and Obnoxious Celtic Guard, as well as a new alternate artwork for the Dark Magician Girl. While this deck does not revolve around a singular play or a main boss monster, the monsters Dark Magician Girl, Valkyrion the Magna Warrior, and Magician of Black Chaos seem to be the high power aces of the deck, and are what you would typically want to aim to get out. The structure deck overall contained a whopping 56 cards in total, which today would be considered a lot as consistency is important, and more typical 40 card decks increase your consistency odds. Now, I would have loved to have brought the structure deck and unbox it on the video, but finding the box is difficult and I imagine very expensive. Regardless, how about we look at the deck? First of all, it includes two ultra rares, Swift Gaia the Fierce Knight and Obnoxious Celtic Guard. It also includes one super rare, Dark Magician Girl alternative artwork. There are 53 commons in the deck, which are Archfiend of Gilfa, Buster Blader, Valkyrion the Magna Warrior, Karibo, Baphomet, 2 copies of Giant Rat, Cyberjar, Penguin Soldier, Alpha the Magnet Warrior, Beta the Magnet Warrior, Gamma the Magnet Warrior, 2 copies of Dark Magician, Gazelle the King of Mythical Beasts, 2 copies of Giant Soldier of Stone, Card Destruction, Swords of Revealing Light, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed, Change of Heart, Graceful Charity, 2 copies of Fissure, 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon, Polymerization, Multiply, Dark Hole, Mystic Box, Premature Burial, Magic Cylinder, Mirror Force, Magical Hats, Shift, Spellbinding Circle, 2 copies of Backup Soldier, Magic Jammer, Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast, Silver Fang, Beaver Warrior, Magician of Black Chaos, Black Magic Ritual, D-Spell, 2 copies of Gaia Power, Nobleman of Crossout, 2 copies of Giant Trunade, The Eye of Truth, and Ultimate Offering. To test this deck out in today's meta, unfortunately, we had to take out some of the banned cards, which are Ultimate Offering, the Giant Trunades, Premature Burials, Graceful Charity, Change of Heart, Pot of Greed, Monster Reborn, Card Destruction, and Cyberjar. So with minus 10, we still have 45 cards in the deck and 1 in the extra deck. But it is unfortunate as many of the cards removed offer great hand replenishment ability. As a rule on these showcases, if after the removal of the banned cards the deck drops below 40, then I'm allowed to add multiple copies of cards already in the deck. However, as the deck limit is still above 40, I shall leave it as it is. Let's see how it fares in a best of 5. Hey, how's it going guys? Welcome to a post-duel commentary. I think this is how I'm going to do them in the future because I haven't really settled on a format just yet. So I think I'll just play the duels and then talk about them afterwards. The way this is going to work is I'm going to do 10 duels and then I'm going to pick the best 5 and just talk about them as they go. So this deck, as you can see, not off to the best start, but we do have a Dark Hole. That is something I will have to give this deck. It has some awesome spell and trap cards, which do make up for the lack of monsters you're able to summon. So as you can see, I took a lot of damage there. Well, as you can see, it was pretty obvious that this was going to happen, but because it's such an old deck, it relies very heavily on tribute summon monsters to get your big monsters out, and that basically makes the deck slow. So obviously things like this happened where you get attacked by an 800 monster and you lose. Game 2, I was against Fright Furs, and I was hoping that the fact that I could negate the polymerization, even though I know there's other cards that could get polymerization out, you're still able to do this to me. But I thought I would be able to turn it around maybe with a Yugioh. If I'd have summoned that Giant Soldier of Stone in defense, maybe this would have played out differently because he gets this monster out. Oh, I guess not. This is where I should have probably summoned it into defense. But I thought I could attack over it, which was wrong. And then he gets out a monster now with 2,000 attack and can attack a bunch of times. But if I'd have had that 2,000 defense point monster, maybe I'd have been okay. Wasn't too sure. Game 3, we're against a Blue Eyes deck. Didn't know that as soon as we started. But this was a good combo, actually, with this deck, where you summon the Obnoxious Celtic Guardian with the Gaia, so it increases it to 1900. And since that monster can't be attacked by a monster over 1900, it's actually quite a good combo. I never actually get to utilize it in this duel, but it was pretty good. Karibo was okay, not the best of the Karibo brothers, but it helped every now and then. It's a nice little tech card in the deck. Swift Gaia the Fierce Knight, even though it's one of the shinies in this deck, never used his ability, and Dark Magician Girl, though I did summon her, I never actually got the benefits of her ability either. It's a big hindrance not having Monster Reborn and Pot of Greed like that, because I never got out the Tribute Summon monsters throughout the entire time I was doing these duels at all. And even though I came close to getting Chimera in, I think, this duel, because now I have Baphomet and I have Gazelle in my hand. I think I draw Polymerization next turn, but I think that was a different duel, actually. But I managed to summon Dark Magician of Chaos once, but that's not in any of these videos, and I never actually summoned Chimera out because that was negated the one time I got it out. Really good cards, really powerful in this deck because they are actually able to get out easy enough, but it's just a problem of getting those cards together in order to get them out. So that would have to be the biggest problem with this deck, trying to play it now. It just can't keep up with the speed and consistency of some decks. By the way, this duel against Gladiator Beasts, spoiler, I actually win this duel, which I was absolutely shocked about. So look, I got him down to 800, and he draws his next card, and he scoops. I was like, woo, no way, 1 win. So out of the 4 duels we've had so far, I've had 1 win and 3 losses, and this is the final one, which I've never actually seen. What was it called, this deck? What are those monsters called? But it's really, really powerful. Like some of the combos he does with this, where he's able to destroy the monster and bring it back loads of times. But I was glad we got to play against some monsters using link monsters, which obviously you need nowadays. But it just shows how slow this deck is. I never got to use Mystical Hats either, which was a shame. There was a lot of plays I couldn't actually do in this. Made me a little bit sad that I wasn't actually able to use them. There were some really garbage cards, actually, 2 in particular. The really rubbish cards were Shift, which I actually never used, as well as the Eye card that let me see my opponent's hand, which you'd think would be quite good, but the cost of 1,000 life points per turn, no, not at all. So yeah, out of the 5 duels, we have 1 win and 4 losses, and the 1 win was very lucky because my opponent just didn't seem to be able to draw any monsters, but there you go. There's the score. And with that, there you go. There's a little look at what the deck would be like nowadays. As you can see, it's not fast enough or consistent enough to really stand up to decks nowadays, which is a shame, but it's the truth. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know any other decks that you'd like me to do in the future. But other than that, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Catch you later.